What is going on, everyone? I am back with my weekly NFL game picks. And just like before, I also give you guys my locks of the week for these games. Now, with week one in the books, it was a crazy week. Didn't have as much success as we would have liked on the selections, but that's all right. We've got those games as a basis, and hopefully, we'll be able to learn from that, and I'll be able to give you guys more accurate picks. But with that being said, also, I'd like you guys to know I am making this video before tonight's Thursday night Houston-Cincinnati game. But if for some reason I am not able to upload it in time, I'll make sure to upload it as soon as I can after the game. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Like I said before, the first game is the Texans at the Bengals, and talk about two teams that had incredibly underwhelming performances week one. The Bengals got shut out at home by the Ravens, and then the Texans got blown out by the Jaguars. Also, both of these offenses looked awful in week one. Now, maybe that's just that point of normalization, but I think these are going to be issues that will linger on for both of these teams. And for this game tonight, I would say it's going to be a low scoring affair. These Thursday night games usually are not the best quality of football either. Um, and I think it'll be a very close game. I would give the slight edge to the Bengals just because the Texans are starting a rookie quarterback, and I think it'll be a little bit of growing pains. I didn't see that much from Deshaun Watson in his takeover role from Tom Savage in week one, so I'll go with the Bengals winning at home. But I do think these offensive problems for both teams will carry on into the season. Now, as far as the spread goes, Bengals are favored 4.5 at home. I think it's going to be lower, honestly. I think this game gets decided by a field goal or less, so that is my prediction on that front as well. Next, we have the Bills at the Panthers, and both these teams are currently 1-0, but at the same time, both went up against very easy competition in the Jets and in the 49ers. Now, I do like that offense in Carolina a little bit more than the Bills. I still think the Bills pretty much only have LaShawn McCoy. I'm not sold on Tyrod Taylor, and I think this will be a homecoming that'll be spoiled for Sean McDermott, the former defensive coordinator for the Panthers. I think the Panthers just as good defensively as the Bills, and I am guessing that they will be able to do a little bit more than the Bills offensively. Now, as far as the spread goes, the Panthers are at 7.5 point favorites at home, and to me, that is too high because I still think Cam has rust on him. I think that was pretty apparent in week one. I think making a point of using those new weapons is actually going to hurt him early on because you saw guys like Kelvin Benjamin and Greg Olsen, established guys, they weren't even that involved in that offense. So I would bet that this is a low scoring game and that the Panthers come out on top by 4 or 5 points. So in that regard, I go with the Bills to cover the spread. Moving on, we have got the Bears at the Bucks, and obviously the Bucks did not play week one, so this is a little bit of a toss-up in terms of what you can expect from the Bucks. And on the flip side, the Bears had one of the most competitive games in week one because it came down to the final couple of plays versus the Falcons with a chance to win it for the Bears, something that not a lot of people expected. And for me, that was a combination of things. That defense, like I said before, a lot better than people give it credit for. And also, Glennon played pretty well in the fourth quarter. Not pretty well, actually. He played great in the fourth quarter. The problem is he did not play great in the first three. Um, but with that being said, I still think the Bucks have enough talent, more talent than the Bears, especially with all the injuries the Bears have had. Um, I like Jameis Winston and that crew to put up some points against the Bears, but I do think it'll be a close one. I think the Bears defense will keep them in it late, and it'll probably be a 5 or 6 point game when it's all said and done. And maybe the Bucks will also have some rust. In terms of the spread, the Bucks are favored 6.5 at home. So, like I said, I like this game to be decided by 5 or 6. So, in terms of the spread, I will take the Bears. Next, we've got a divisional matchup with the Browns at the Ravens. And look, this will probably be one of the most straightforward picks this week because on paper, on the roster, every edge goes to Baltimore offensively, defensively, special teams, quarterback, everything. Um, the Ravens are also at home, That defense, I think, is going to smother the Browns, going to smother Deshaun Kaiser, and they'll be able to do enough offensively to win that game. Now, I'm not that high on the Baltimore offense, so I expect probably another 20-point performance from them, but I think they hold the Browns to at least 10 points. So it'll be, I think, when it's all said and done, close to a double-digit win. Now, in terms of the spread, the Ravens are favored 7.5 at home, so I'll take them to cover. I think it'll be a 8 or 9 point victory. Continuing with another divisional matchup, we've got the Titans at the Jaguars, and talk about the Jaguars being impressive in their Week 1 victory. And against all odds, the Jaguars are actually in first place in their division right now. That hasn't happened in a while because the Titans went up against the Raiders, and even though they were impressive, I think the better team won there. Now, I'll go ahead and make the same prediction here. The better team will win, and that is the Titans. They're better offensively, and I think they are not as one-dimensional as the Jaguars. Obviously, the Jaguars also lost Allen Robinson, so that might hurt them. We'll see what their game plan is moving forward. I do think Hearns can step up and fill out that role a little bit more than people give him credit for, but to me, I just don't think the Jaguars have enough to hang with the Titans. And as far as the spread goes, the Jaguars are at plus 1.5 at home. I think the Titans can win a little bit more decisively than that, at least by a field goal. So I will go ahead and I will pick the Titans to win this game also on the spread. Next, we have got the Cardinals at the Colts, and talk about an embarrassing performance for the Colts Week 1 because they got demolished by the Rams. And without Andrew Luck, the Colts are one of the worst teams in all of football. So as long as Tozine is there, or pretty much anyone other than Luck, I like the opposing team to win, and that is the case with the Cardinals. Obviously, they're dealing with the loss of David Johnson, and that won't be easy because he was such a stud offensively. But I think they still have enough firepower with Fitz being the general there on that team to hold everyone accountable and for them to come up with a win in Indianapolis. Also, they've got a good enough defense to shut down the Colts again. And as far as the spread goes, the Colts are at plus 8.5 at home. Now, like I said before, as long as Tolzien is the quarterback there, I think the Cardinals are going to win, and I think they can win by double digits. So I'll go ahead and I'll take the Cardinals in terms of the spread as well. Moving on, we have got another pair of 1-0 teams facing off with the Eagles at the Chiefs. And with the Chiefs, they probably had one of the biggest upsets in Week 1, handling the Patriots. And on the flip side, the Eagles handled the Redskins and took care of business there. But this is a home game for the Chiefs, and that is a tough place to play away. Now, the Chiefs also have that very good defense. Obviously, they lose Eric Berry, but I think they have enough talent elsewhere to make it a tough day for the Eagles. And on the flip side, offensively, we saw what Hunt and Tyreek Hill did. Obviously, that'll probably be the ceiling for them in terms of performances, but you have to like what you saw there if you are a Kansas City fan because they looked incredible. And I think Alex Smith, I can trust him a little bit more than Wentz. He won't take as many risks. So for that reason, I like the Chiefs to win. I think it'll be a pretty close game, actually. Now, the Chiefs are favored by 4.5 at home, minus 4.5. I think that'll probably be right around where the score will be. But I think it'll probably be around a 5-point, 6-point game differential for the Chiefs when it's all said and done. So I like them to cover the spread. Next, we have got another tough game with the Vikings at the Steelers, and I think it'll be a competitive game, but the home team has the advantage, and the Steelers play amazingly well at home, specifically talking Big Ben. They have a lot of offensive weapons. Look for Bell and Bryant to bounce back. I know the Vikings defense is good, but to me, the Steelers offense is better. And on the flip side, the Vikings played exceptionally well versus the Saints, but this Pittsburgh defense is not the Saints defense, and I think they'll make it a long day for Sam Bradford. And when it's all said and done, I think when it gets late, I think the score also is going to favor the Steelers. In terms of the spread, they are 6.5-point favorites at home, but like I said, I think it'll be a close game going into the third or even fourth, but at the end, the Steelers are going to pull away, and for that reason, I like the Steelers to cover the spread at home. moving on, we have got the Patriots at the Saints, and somewhat surprisingly, both teams are 0-1. And look, I like the Saints, and especially what they can do at home, but the Patriots are going to come back, and they're going to come back hard with a vengeance. Brady is not going to let that team go 0-2 to start the season. It's going to be an offensive showdown, I think, but at the end, the Patriots are going to come out on top. They're going to separate away late, and I think it's going to be an aerial showdown if I had to put money on it. Look for Gronk to be a lot more involved. Look for Chris Hogan to have a good game. Look for Brendan Cooks in his homecoming revenge game to go big as well. As far as the spread goes, the Saints are at plus 5.5 at home. I'll go ahead. I'll take the Patriots. Like I said, Brady is going to come back and he's going to come back angry. I think everyone's going to play a lot better for the Patriots, and for me, that correlates to more than a 5.5 point victory for them. Next, we have got the Jets at the Raiders, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Jets are going to be one of the worst teams in all of football, and this is as straightforward as a game to pick as you could want. Take the Raiders at home. Their offense is incredible. They have a lot of talent there, and the Jets cannot keep up with them. That's as simple as it gets. Now, for me, this game is going to be at least a double-digit win for the Raiders. As far as the spread is concerned, the Raiders are favored by 14.5 at home. So to me, that's kind of really high. I do think they will win by at least 10, but I could see at the end of the game the Jets getting a field goal or a late touchdown to make the score a little bit more respectable. And that Raiders defense isn't the greatest as well. So for that reason, just because it is the spread, I will go ahead, pick the Jets, and I'm guessing that it'll be a 13 or 14 point victory margin for the Raiders when it's all said and done. Continuing, we have got the Dolphins at the Chargers, and the Chargers put it together a valiant effort versus the Broncos. They almost had it, but that blocked field goal sealed the deal. Now, the Dolphins did not play again week 1, so tough to gauge how they will do, but regardless, I think the Chargers are the better team. They're at home. They will bounce back. Look for Phillip Rivers and that offense to go off. The Miami Dolphins offense and defense both not that good, so don't think they'll be able to keep pace and don't think they'll be able to stifle that Chargers offense. Now, as far as the spread goes, the Chargers are 3.5 point favorites at home, minus 3.5. I think they can cover that easily. So I feel pretty confident taking them to cover at home too. Next, we have got another very interesting matchup for this week. We've got the Cowboys at the Broncos. And look, the Broncos proved they still have a legit defense, even with some pieces leaving. And on the flip side, the Cowboys put the Giants to shame in week 1. Now, I think this will be a lot tougher of a matchup for the Cowboys. That Denver defense, I think, can take advantage of Dak Prescott. He's only in his sophomore year, and even when the Cowboys beat up on the Giants, they didn't put up that many points. So I like this to be a low-scoring game, and to me, at the end, the team that is better defensively will win this game. And I know the Cowboys surprised a lot of teams and a lot of people out there as far as what they did defensively against the Giants, but the Giants are not the same football team without Odell Beckham. So I think the Broncos have the edge in this game. I'm going to go ahead, pick them at home to win this game. As far as the spread, they're at plus 1.5. And like I said, since I like them to win, I'm going to go ahead also on the spread, pick the Broncos. Next, we have got the Redskins versus the Rams. And the Rams at home, they had one of the most dominating performances, especially on the defensive front that I've seen in a long time, week 1 versus the Colts. So I think a lot of people are high on them this week. They are actually at 2.5 point favorites at home on the spread. But to me, I just think that the reason the Rams had such a good game is because the Colts were so bad. To me, the Redskins, better of an opponent. I don't think they're in that upper echelon of teams, but much better than the Colts. And to me, I think they will be able to stifle Jared Goff, stifle that Rams offense, And for me, for that reason, I like the Redskins to go on the road, beat the Rams. I like them better offensively. Um, the Rams might have more talent defensively, but to me, if the Redskins go up and they just play mistake-free football, the Rams will not have enough on offense to catch up to the Redskins. And on that front, the Rams are being favored 2.5 at home. I think the Redskins can win this game, so I'm going to go ahead pick the Redskins against the spread as well. Next, we have got another pretty straightforward game with the 49ers at the Seahawks. And Seattle at home, very tough place to play, and they're almost unbeatable at home. The 49ers, they just don't have enough firepower. I mean, especially when they go up against a very good defense, and that is the case with Seattle. I think there's going to be turnovers to be had for the Seahawks. I think that defense for the 49ers still not quite where they need to be. So I like Russell Wilson to have a big game. I like Jimmy Graham, Doug Baldwin to have rebound games. And I feel pretty comfortable picking the Seahawks. Now, as far as the spread goes, they're at minus 12.5 at home. That is high, but look, I think these divisional games, when the Seahawks play at home, they play very well. And to me, they will be able to come back strong. That defense has a lot of pride. They will not let the 49ers put up points even late. So I like the Seahawks to cover at home. Now, almost to the end of it, one of the most anticipated games for me this week is the Packers at the Falcons. And both teams 1-0, but the Packers, I think, more so impressive in the way they won, especially versus the Seahawks. The Falcons obviously had some rust, and they are now opening up that new stadium they have in Georgia. And I think for that reason, a lot of people like the Falcons at home. The spread sure thinks so. They're at minus 2.5 at home. But man, to me, the Packers looked pretty good defensively. And also offensively, they were very impressive against that Seattle defense. So for that reason, I'll go ahead. I will pick Rodgers. I think there's still something to be said about the Falcons adjusting without Shanahan. And I think it'll be a close game, don't get me wrong, but I'll go ahead and I'll go with the team with the better quarterback, and that is Aaron Rodgers. And also in terms of the spread, I like the Packers to go with that. Now, finally, Monday night game, we've got the Lions at the Giants, and the Giants at home, they're 0-1. Lions are 1-0. Lions were very impressive in their win, but this is up against a better defense in the Giants. They've got a very strong front seven, and their secondary is no joke either. Now, I do think this will translate into turnovers for the Lions, but to me, I just think if Odell Beckham isn't 100%, I was shocked by what I saw from the Giants week one. Brendan Marshall did not have a big game at all. He was a non-factor, and I'm scared without Odell Beckham to go ahead and pick the Giants. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with the Lions. They were impressive week one, and I do think there will be turnovers. I do think that Giants defense will give them some points, but when it's all said and done, I'm going to go ahead, go with the Lions. And as far as the spread goes, Giants are at minus 4.5 at home. I'll take the Lions. I think, like I said before, without Odell Beckham, I cannot trust the Giants. So I'm going to go ahead, roll with the Lions. So that covers all the games for week two. Now, as far as my locks for the week, I have a couple. Obviously, I'll take the Baltimore Ravens at home. I'll also take the Cardinals at Indianapolis. The Colts, without luck, are just a non-factor. Then, additionally, I like the Raiders at home. The Jets just cannot keep up with the Raiders. And then also the Seahawks in Seattle versus the 49ers. Seahawks are going to bounce back in a big way. If you want some under-the-radar games, I also feel pretty confident with the Steelers at home, and then also with the Patriots on the road. Now, like always, let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with these picks? Would you have something different? And let me know in the comment section. In addition, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for future videos.